Studio now, so for the time being it would appear that his illness is not life-threatening, and even though he's in France, he's still clinging to power as closely as he ever always has done.
Well, if you know Yasser Arafat, you would say this is exactly what he's doing, and this is what he would do in such circumstances. I would like to say something here. Last year, Arafat had exactly the same condition. And I know for a fact, by talking to his wife, who told me that these results of the tests that were taken last year in Ramallah were actually flown, the actual blood was flown to Paris, to the same hospital. And at the time, they ruled out leukemia. So this is why this time she was very hopeful that it would not be leukemia because of the fact that they have actually examined this blood last year. So that was reassuring for her.
In terms of I want to move on to other things in a minute, but in terms of hanging on to power, clinging on to power, it almost suggests there's a paranoia there.
Well, if you know the character of Yasser Arafat, he's not, in a sense, very democratic in many ways. Although he has many aides, he listens to them, he talks to them all the time. But he always kept the final decision. This is a guy who embodies the Palestinian, if you like, cause. And in that sense, you know, his character is not somebody who would let anybody else take the last decision. He always kept the security decision, if you like, the political decision, if you like, and also running the country on one-to-one basis for him.
And a lot of newspaper reports today, and it's been suggested over recent years, that he's also hanging on to all those bank accounts and things as well, to do with the PLO as well. But
yes, of course, yes, indeed, that is correct, as a matter of fact. However, I would rule out any talk of corruption there as far as Yasser Arafat himself is concerned. People around him, I'm not sure, but not Yasser Arafat.
Let's move on to the response from the Arab world to the fact that he has left Ramallah. How muted has that been?
Well, I tell you, there were two stories being covered today in the Arab press, and I was watching it today and yesterday, and indeed by talking to people and in our own newspaper, and Al Hayat. It wasn't muted in many ways because in many parts of the Arab world there were demonstrations, people crying. Don't forget there are many Palestinian camps in these Arab worlds. For example, in Lebanon, I know that people went into the streets weeping and praying for him, in many mosques as well around the countries. And also, but there was another story which was competing with Yasser Arafat, which is the Bin Laden story, this new emergence of Bin Laden being the political guy wearing his Saudi gear, his Arab gear, instead of the fighting fatigue, and indeed appealing as well as to the American voters, to the Arab people, because I think he lost a lot of base in the Arab countries simply by being the fighter, by going and killing the masses of people around the world that he did. And plus, of course, the situation in Iraq. But I would say, going back to Arafat, that a lot of discussion has been going on. What if Arafat goes? What if a lot of editorials focused on what might happen if Arafat leaves? What's going to happen to the Palestinians? Who is going to rule them? Is it a group of people? Is it going to be the fundamentalist more part, which is Hamas and Jihad Islami, etc.? Or is it going to be Abu Mazen, Ahmed Qureh? There is a lot of talk. Are we going to see factional fighting inside Palestine? While a lot of people said no, the Palestinian people are very well educated people and such power struggle will be averted. In the meantime, we see that Arafat has not given his power to anybody. And we hear Abu Mazen saying that we're in constant contact with Arafat, asking him about every single detail.
Okay, I'm afraid we haven't got any time for any more, but also interesting today that Ariel Sharon has said that he wouldn't allow Yasser Arafat to be buried on Temple Mount were he to die, but I'm afraid we haven't got time to discuss that.
Yeah, but I said this on this program. I said actually Ariel Sharon would not let him probably go out and come back if he didn't know his sickness was irreversible. This is what the Israelis think.
I remember the conversation we had on Friday evening. Baria Alamuddin, thank you very much indeed for coming.